Everyone in my house fell asleep at the exact same second. I was standing in the hallway when it happened. My mom stopped talking in the middle of a word. My dad froze with his hand on the light switch. My little sister, Emily, dropped her glass of water, but it never hit the floor. It hung in the air like time had broken. The clock stopped ticking. The air felt thick, like it was holding its breath, and then the house moved. The walls groaned softly, like something stretching after a long sleep. The floor beneath my feet slid to the left. A door across the hall slowly drifted away from where it had always been, gliding like it was on invisible wheels. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. That was when I realized the worst part. Everyone in my house was asleep, except the house. A loud click echoed behind me, and the hallway lights went out one by one, rushing toward me like darkness was running. I felt the floor tilt forward, pulling me toward a doorway that had not been there a moment ago. Something inside the walls whispered my name. I took one step back, and the house took one step forward. Then everything went black. Before all of this happened, my house was normal. That is what I keep telling myself. Anyway, we lived in a 2-story home on a quiet street in Ohio. The kind of street where kids ride bikes after school and neighbors wave but never really talk. Our house was beige with white trim and a red front door that stuck sometimes when it rained. Nothing special. Nothing scary. At least, not at first. My name is Noah Carter. I am 12 years old. I live with my mom, my dad, and my 8-year-old sister, Emily. We had lived in that house for 3 years, and nothing bad had ever happened there. The first strange thing was small. So small that no one believed me. One morning, I woke up and walked into the kitchen. I stopped because something felt wrong. I could not tell what it was at first. Everything looked the same. The table, the chairs, the fridge. Then I noticed the sink. It was on the wrong wall. I stood there for a long time, staring at it. I rubbed my eyes. I even slapped my own cheek just to be sure I was awake. The sink was still there. Wrong wall, wrong place. When I told my mom, she laughed and said, "Nice try, Noah. You just woke up confused." But I knew our kitchen. I had spilled juice in that sink 100 times. It had never been there before. Later that day, it was back where it belonged. That should have scared me more than it did. Over the next week, little things kept happening. My bedroom door would open the wrong way. The bathroom mirror was suddenly on the opposite side. The stairs felt longer some days, shorter on others. Each time, it would fix itself by morning. I started checking the house every night before bed. I counted doors. I traced walls with my fingers. I memorized every corner, every step. I thought if I knew the house well enough, it would not trick me. I was wrong. The night everything changed, we had dinner together like always. My dad talked about work. My mom reminded Emily to finish her homework. The TV played softly in the living room. Nothing felt strange. After dinner, the power flickered for just a second. The lights dimmed, then came back on. Dad frowned. Storm must be coming. But the sky outside was clear. At exactly 2:17 a.m., I woke up. I did not know why. I just opened my eyes, like someone had called my name without making a sound. My room felt colder than usual. The moonlight came into the window, but the shadows did not look right. They bent in strange angles, like the room was leaning. I sat up in bed. The clock on my nightstand said 2:17. The seconds were not moving. I listened. No snoring. No hum from the air vent. No sound at all. That was when I heard it. A slow, deep creaking sound. Not like with settling. More like something heavy shifting its weight. I got out of bed and opened my door. The hallway was longer than it should have been. The door to my parents' room was far away, at the end of a stretched-out hall that curved slightly, like it was smiling at me. I walked forward, my heart beating fast. I passed Emily's room. She was asleep, sitting upright in her bed, her eyes closed, her mouth open like she had fallen asleep mid-breath. I whispered her name. She did not move. I reached the end of the hallway and touched my parents' door. It was warm, like it had been sitting in the sun. Inside, They were frozen just like I would later see them in the hallway. Asleep. Still, that was when I understood. Every person in the house was asleep at the same time, except me, and except the house. I stepped back into the hallway, and the floor shifted under my feet. The wall beside me slid sideways, slow and smooth, like it was floating on water. A door opened where there had never been a door before. Inside was a staircase going down. But our house did not have a staircase there. I turned to run. That was when the house made its first real sound. It sighed. The sound came from everywhere at once. Walls, floors, ceiling. A deep, tired sigh, like the house had been waiting a long time to stretch. The lights began to turn off, one by one, racing toward me. I ran. The hallway bent. The floor tilted. Doors slid away when I reached for them. New ones appeared, leading to rooms I had never seen before. A kitchen with no windows. A living room with the ceiling too low. A bathroom with 3 mirrors, all showing me from different angles. The house was awake, and it was rearranging itself while everyone else slept. I stopped in the middle of a hallway that twisted in a slow curve. The air felt thick again, just like before. I heard my name, not from my family, from the walls. Noah. It whispered, soft and careful, like it did not want to wake the others. The floor beneath me clicked, and that is when everything froze again. Mom, Dad, Emily, all asleep. The clock stopped. The house leaned closer, and something opened behind me. I turned around. Then the lights went out, and the house finished its move. The lights came back on all at once. I was lying on a cold floor that felt like stone, not wood. My head hurt, and my ears rang like I had just been screamed at. I pushed myself up slowly, afraid the house would notice if I moved too fast. The hallway around me was not the same hallway I had run through. It was wider. The walls were darker. The carpet was gone, replaced by smooth gray tiles that felt icy under my hands. There were no pictures on the walls, no doors, just a long, quiet stretch that went on farther than our house ever should. I checked my watch. It was still 2:17 a.m. Time had not moved. I stood up and whispered, "Hello?" My voice sounded wrong, like it was being swallowed before it could travel far. Far away, something shifted. I did not scream this time. I had learned already that screaming did nothing. I walked. Each step echoed, even though the floor did not look hard enough to echo. The air smelled old, like dust that had been trapped for years. I tried to remember where the living room should be, where the stairs should be, but the house did not care what I remembered. The house had its own memory. As I walked, doors slowly appeared along the walls. They did not pop into place. They slid out, like they had been hiding inside the walls all along. I stopped in front of the first one. It was my bedroom door. Same scratches at the bottom. Same sticker I had peeled off halfway and never finished. I reached for the handle, then stopped. What if it's not my room anymore? I whispered. The door opened by itself. Inside, everything was normal. My bed, my desk, my window. Moonlight spilled across the floor, exactly the way it always did. I stepped inside. The door closed behind me. I jumped and spun around, but the handle was still there, still solid. I opened it again. The hallway was gone. Outside my bedroom door was the kitchen, not the normal kitchen. This one was stretched longer, with cabinets that went all the way to the ceiling. The fridge was too tall. The table had 6 legs instead of 4. The house was mixing things together. I walked into the kitchen and saw my mom. She was standing by the sink, frozen like a statue. Her eyes were closed. Her hands were resting on the counter, like she had fallen asleep, standing up. "Mom," I said softly. She did not move. I waved my hand in front of her face. Nothing. She was breathing, but so slowly I could barely tell. I felt angry then. Angry at the house. Angry at myself for not stopping this somehow. "Wake up," I whispered. "Please." The house made a quiet creak. The cabinets shifted. The floor slid an inch to the left. I stepped back. "I'm sorry," I said quickly, not sure who I was talking to. "I won't wake them." The house went still. I backed away from my mom and moved toward the living room. It was there, but wrong. The couch faced the wall. The TV was on the ceiling. Family photos floated in frames that were not attached to anything. In one picture, I noticed something strange. Emily's face was turned toward the camera. Her eyes were open. I blinked, and the picture went back to normal. That was when I understood something important. The house was not just moving rooms. It was watching. I moved slowly now, careful with every step. I followed the curve of the living room until I found the stairs. They went up. They went down, both at the same time. The staircase split in the middle, like a fork in the road. The steps on the left went up into darkness. The steps on the right went down into darker darkness. I stood there for a long time. "I want to go back," I said. The house did not answer. I took the stairs going up. Each step felt longer than the last. My legs started to hurt. My breathing got heavy. I wondered how many steps there really were. Finally, I reached the top. There was a door. It was not part of our house. It was metal. There was a small window in it, and behind the glass, I saw something moving. I put my hand on the door. The house shuddered. "No," the walls whispered. "Not yet." I pulled my hand back. The metal door slid into the wall and disappeared. Behind it was the attic. Our attic was small. This one was huge. Boxes were stacked to the ceiling. But they were not our boxes. Names were written on them. Names I did not know. I read a few. Michael, Sarah, Thomas. Each box hummed softly like it was breathing. I touched one. The humming stopped. Inside my head, I heard a scream. I stumbled back and fell onto the floor. The house groaned, low and unhappy. "I won't touch them," I said, my voice shaking. The humming returned. I ran. I ran down the stairs, back into the twisted living room, past my frozen parents, past the pictures that watched me when I was not looking. I did not stop until I reached Emily's room. Her door was open. She was still sitting up in bed, but her eyes were open now. She smiled. "Noah," she said. I rushed to her side. "Emily, you're awake." She shook her head slowly. "No, I'm dreaming." My heart dropped. "This is a house's dream," she said, her voice flat and wrong. "It dreams when we sleep." "What does it want?" I asked. She looked past me, toward the wall. "To finish," she said. The wall behind her cracked. A door opened, and something stepped through that was not part of my house at all. The lights went out again.